about a year after Jane died, Mr. Engelberg got in touch with me, and he said that he wanted to establish a memorial for Jane. And he had given quite a bit of thought to it, and he decided that this should be through the National Society of Genetic Counselors. And he wanted me to propose how this memorial should be done. I gave it a great deal of thought, and I was aware that in other professionals, such as social work, other comparable professions, the professional had an opportunity for a sabbatical. They could take time off from their work, or they could get funding to do research, or to take additional training to redirect their goals in their professional life. And so I decided to propose the fellowship for this reason. My feeling was that at that time, genetic counselors were not publishing very much. And when they did write papers, they were very rarely the first author. My goal was to provide research opportunities for genetic counselors that would expand their careers. She was a very special person because she came across as a very soft-spoken person. But when there was an issue that required backbone, you could count on her. It was remarkable. And that happened, many times in our work setting, and we were both involved in New York City. We were working to establish a prenatal diagnostic lab that would be a public lab. I saw her in action in that setting, and it was really remarkable that this, sweet, soft-spoken person would, stand up to the last second about something she really cared about.
JEMF is, I think it's multifold. I think it's recognition of what Jane Engelberg brought to the field of genetic counseling, her vitality, her passion. It's a way to honor her and what she has given to the field of genetic counseling. And I think that it is an opportunity for growth for genetic counselors within the field, so individual growth of genetic counselors, but also growth of the field of genetic counseling, because it creates an opportunity that doesn't otherwise exist for genetic counselors to have opportunities to conduct research and contribute to the development of the field of genetic counseling.
I think this is a really important point for JEMF to be hitting 25 years, to look at 25 years of funding going to genetic counselors, supporting opportunities for genetic counselors, supporting new ideas, supporting innovation in things that have significantly impacted our field. There's a cancer genetic counseling textbook that's in its 3rd edition now because of the JEMF. There are multicultural competency toolkits that are provided to all genetic counseling programs because of JEMF. There is novel and innovative research in genetic counseling going on because of JEMF. So it's really remarkable in aggregate to be able to take a moment at 25 years and celebrate that.
It's hard for me to imagine being a genetic counselor without some of the stuff that's been produced by JEMF award winners. Going all the way back to the beginning, Catherine Schneider's book on counseling about cancer, and Brenda Finucane's book on discussing risks and counseling women with intellectual disability has been a part of my career forever, something I learned as a student, something I teach my students today. But more importantly, JEMF has really represented sort of the best research opportunities in our field, really for genetic counselors to do research about their own field and really be part of sort of the future of genetic counseling.
I measure my career on the JEMF. That's when I was a student. I came into the profession in 1991, and I remember the award being announced. And to see the growth of our profession over the years and the work that genetic counselors have done with JEMF funding is amazing to me. And having moved from a sort of professional development approach to a larger outcome-based approach of research, looking for a scholarly investigation, I think is a pivotal moment in JEMF funding where we made that transition to fund those types of grants.
JEMF also recognizes the importance of professional development and advancement in our field. JEMF funding can support genetic counselors to be trained in grant writing or genetic counselors to develop their own professional development curriculum.
I think it's played an instrumental part in growing the profession. It's, when you look at the past awardees over the last 25 years, they are truly the key leaders in the genetic counseling profession and have really been able to shape where the profession continues to lead, and the opportunities for students to apply is a way for them to continue to grow and expand our career and the community of genetic counselors.
My secondary goal was to ensure that these individual grants would benefit the profession and create prestige for the NSGC. As it turned out, the goal became for the individual genetic counselors who either were appointed to the advisory board or who received an award, that even being appointed to the advisory board became a professional achievement that was important for their curriculum vitae. And looking back, I have no doubt that the objectives have been met.
It's a tremendous community of folks, certainly both the past awardees, the folks who are on the advisory group, and when I look at the list of people who've served on the advisory group, I'd say it's humbling to also be on that list of people.
The whole idea that genetic counselors would be able to go, we're financed to go to these grant review meetings and to stay in a hotel and to have meals together was also novel.
So I've known a lot of different members of the genetic counseling community who've been on the JEMF advisory board, and one of the things they've always said to me that it's the best volunteer activity you could ever volunteer for. And I wasn't quite sure what that meant, and it wasn't until I actually had the opportunity now 3 years ago to join the board that I really got a chance to understand the type of diligence that goes into really paying attention to how we decide who's going to win the JEMF award. And it's not just those who win that have really given me great insights into the greatness of this award, but it's all those who apply.
I really felt privileged that I was able to be part of a group of genetic counselors who were thinking about doing research on evaluating the way we provide counseling and thinking about some of the important outcomes of what we do. And it really helped me as a researcher think about research questions and what is important in our field. I also remember very well how hospitable Audrey Heimler was and how wonderful and warm she was. We had the first meeting when I was on the group actually in her home, and she was a fabulous hostess and fed us well, and I always appreciated Audrey and felt very, very honored to be part of this group.
What Mr. Engelberg did for NSGC was visionary. He saw the potential that genetic counselors had towards research and the endeavor of doing research, and he gave us that initial sort of push into that foray to allow us to grow and develop, I think, beyond what any of us would have imagined back in 1991 when the grant was first bequeathed to NSGC.
Something that is so important is the endowment that Mr. Engelberg has provided to JEMF. This ensures that this research fund is going to be available to future genetic counselors and continue to promote our profession well into the future.
First of all, thank you for your generosity and for your willingness to experiment with us, which is really what research is all about. And the funds, the resources that you've provided to our community have have really created a space for a huge number of individuals to be very creative about how they think about their career and how they think about the practice of genetic counseling.
Thank you for honoring Jane Engelberg by creating the JEMF, and thank you for having the vision to create this opportunity for the field of genetic counseling.
Thank you for this amazing opportunity to both further the individual careers of JEMF awardees, but also to really contribute to the growth and development of the profession. So, thanks.